Hi guys, Puff and Snuff here. Ian checking in again from the frigid tundra that has become Northeast Ohio. I think we're on day 3 of sub-zero temperatures. It's been windy. I think at one point the wind chill was somewhere around 40 below, and it's that kind of just cuts right through you. It does not matter how many layers you're wearing. You are freezing the minute you think about looking out the window. So it's been a lot of time on the couch, staying warm, relaxing, and playing with Snuff. For me, that's meant continuing my travels through the Old Mill line of Snuffs. And specifically, that has been, for the last day or two, Ecrous Brulee, which apparently translates to burned nuts and is I guess, an old-timey Cajun kind of confection. Um, The description, which I'll read you here in a second, sounds very interesting. There's not a whole lot of buzz about this, and I don't really understand why. It's a fantastic, fantastic snuff. What you can find on it on YouTube or on the forums or review sites or wherever you go has been generally very positive. There's just not a whole lot about it. So let me read you Chef Daniel's description, and you can tell this guy was a chef in a former life because his menu on his website, which will be down there in the bucket, it's full of that kind of flowery language that you'd expect on a menu at a fine dining restaurant. So I'm going to try to cut through some of that flowery language and get to the point here. We're talking about something between a praline and a brittle. Contains a variety of nuts, including pecans, which for me is pecan, maybe it's pecan, whatever. Pecans, peanuts, cashews, walnuts, almonds, hazelnuts, raw sugar, vanilla bean, cinnamon stick, and an obscene amount of hand-churned Amish butter, Spanish brandy, and it's all applied to toasted Tennessee burley, red Virginia, St. James Perique, Maryland leaf, air-dried and toasted again before milling to a fine grind with a medium moisture. So there's the description. I would call it largely accurate. We're going to go ahead and switch over here to a little better resolution camera, give you a close-up, show you what the snuff looks like in the tin. Then we'll shoot back here and take a pinch. So give me 1 second here. Alright guys, so hopefully we can get this to focus a little bit and you can see. He describes this as medium moisture and finely ground. I don't know that I would call it necessarily finely ground. And I got the lighting figured out here that the color you're seeing here is pretty true to life. It may be just a hair darker in the real world. But I mean, you can see there are certainly lighter flecks in there. I'm sure that's one particular component tobacco. I'm guessing not the Perique, and probably not the Tennessee. It's a very almost sandy texture. It's a great moisture. It's not super moist. It's not super dry. You can see it's sticking a little bit to the snuff spoon, but it's not sitting there in huge clumps. Get in here a little closer for you. Like I said, I take a little issue with his description of this as being finely ground. I think some of it, and you can see some of it certainly is finely ground, but there's definitely some of the component tobaccos appear to be probably medium to medium fine on the milling. So there's your up close. That's how this guy looks in the tin. Let's jump back over to the other camera and we're going to go ahead and take a few pinches. Okay, so now let's go ahead and get this up in the schnoz using, again, a check pipe tool. This is a pipe tool that I pretty much dedicate to snuff. It's never seen ash or anything like that. It's a lot cheaper than a snuff spoon, and it does the job. And I don't, I'm not one of those guys. I just use it to get in here to the snuff. Being an artisan stuff, it's not pasteurized. There's no preservatives, so you don't want to gunk it up with whatever creepy crawlies you might have on your finger. I just use the pipe tool here, load up a boxcar. There you go. And man, that's fantastic. First and foremost, despite being, you know, given the grind, which is fairly fine, I don't think it's as fine as the description leads it to believe. Um, but I had expected to be a little trickier to take. Kind of, first time I used it, I kind of used that, you know, nose kink and squint and spin around 3 times that you'd use with like a high dry toast or something really finely milled. Totally not necessary. Very easy to take. Settles in very nicely right here. Not a whole heck of a lot of burn. Doesn't seem like there's a whole heck of a lot of nicotine in there. But the scent is fantastic. The first thing you're going to get is butter. And I don't mean buttery the way a lot of times you talk about snuffs, especially the toasts, the high dry toast from Freeburg and Trier especially. It's always described as buttery. This is not buttery. This is butter. This is if you were melting butter on the stove because you're about to fry up some eggs or something like that, and the kitchen starts to get that kind of melting butter smell. That's what's in your nose, and it is fantastic. I might be wrong. Comment. Tell me if I am. I think he's the only person out there really using real butter as an ingredient in snuff. And I'll tell you, this and the spotted dick, which we'll do in another video, it carries everything else and lends its own kind of aroma. And it's absolutely brilliant how it works. Anyway, the first thing is the butter, and you're getting the vanilla, probably the sherry, and definitely the cinnamon and whatever spice is in there. So as far as the Ecrous Brulee, you know, the initial scent is more that brulee. It's a lot like a creme brulee. And now that's probably what, 45 seconds to a minute ago I took the pinch. And now the nut is really starting to come out. At first it's kind of a generic nut aroma. And again, you know, I'm probably an eighth or so through this tin. I'm going to load up another small pinch here while I'm talking. So I'm sure as I take more of this and spend more time with it, I'll pick out more nuts. But what I get is I can get the pecan and I get a lot of the hazelnut. The hazelnut to me is the predominant nut in this. Cheers. Oh, damn, that is good. That is really, really good. So yeah, it starts as butter with spice, and then kind of becomes butter and nut, mostly hazelnut. There's not a lot of drip with this. What there is back drip, and I will say, if there's one thing about this blend that is a little rough around the edges, last night, and I had to take a ton of this to make it happen. But if you get a lot of back drip, it can be a little harsh, a little bitter, and you get that little bit of sting here, and even a little bit kind of back in the ears. But it's not too bad, and you really have to probably go a little overboard with it to make that happen. But the scent is just incredible. That butter, damn, that butter. As far as the tobacco, you don't get a lot of tobacco scent to this. This is definitely all about all the stuff he's adding to the tobacco. I would like to, well, I guess full disclosure, I'm a Perique guy in the pipe world. I love it young when it's sharp and peppery. I like it aged when it turns kind of into that deep, figgy, datey, dark, fruity kind of thing. I don't really know what to expect in the nose. I know there are a number of snuffs out there now that are incorporating and really focusing on the Perique. I haven't had them, so I don't really know what I'm looking for. But if I'm trying to find an analog from the pipe world, I'm not getting it. But that's because I'm not getting any tobacco. I don't get any tobacco base, which would usually, in my world, be something of a drawback. And I'm going one more. I'm going one more on this, which I need to watch because I did notice yesterday evening, shortly after the back drip started, and I continued shoving this up my nose. Yeah, I got a little clogged. I don't think that's the snuff. I think that was just me being an idiot. And I'll tell you, it's a shame that it clogs after overuse, because this is something, I'm not kidding you, that I could sit here all night and take pinch after pinch after pinch, for hours on end. Anyway, cut to the chase. This has drug on way too long as it is. It has long since ceased to be a quick snuff review. For me, this is a 9 out of 10 easily. I think if I was in a specific mood, this could even be a 10 out of 10. It deserves a lot more buzz than it's getting. It is certainly worth anybody trying out. I will say that after I get through the 8 small tins from Old Mill Snuff, I plan to get 4 or 5 more small tins to try and reorder a few of them in larger quantities. This is going on the large quantity list. Worth having around. Could very easily become a regular in the rotation. So, that's it. Old Mill Snuff. The link is in the bucket down there. Ecrous Brulee. Check it out.